Good afternoon, children.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
We had a test on the chapter plant tissues. Dealing only with plant tissues, you had a MCQ test, a Google form test you had. And now you're going to have a descriptive test. Sorry, not descriptive test, an OMR test. OMR test in the sense that you will get questions in WhatsApp, and then using an OMR sheet, you will be writing the answer. Means you'll be darkening the bubbles. Okay, because your exam, SA1 exam is going to be like that. So I need to give a practice for that. Clear? So you all will take a copy of the OMR sheet and keep it ready for Friday's class. Friday, we are going to have a test where you will darken the bubble rather than going for a Google form. The questions will be posted in the class group, and seeing that you will select the correct option and you will darken the appropriate bubble. Clear? No doubts, no? Okay. Now topic, which topic? Already we had a test based on plant tissues. So we'll have a test on which chapter? Cell. So day after tomorrow, Friday, during our period, we'll have a test. Agreed? Don't forget. So I'll be conducting it during the class time. Okay. And then what else to say? So we will start with connective tissues. We'll cover some portion and then we can have a quick recap of plant tissues again. Because anyway, day after tomorrow, you're going to have a test on cell. So now we'll revise because within that short time, we'll be able to complete up to plant tissues. What do you say? Agreed? So half the time, I'll take lesson. I'll continue with the chapter, and remaining time, we will have a revision. And on Friday, you are going to have a revision test on chapter cell. And all should be ready with your OMR sheet. Don't come up with excuses that I didn't take a copy of the same. Have you taken enough copies of the same?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
you have it already. Those who haven't taken, please do take it and keep it ready. Friday, don't forget, we'll have the test. And I will post it today, a reminder. Okay, so we are going to begin with the topic, connective tissues. We completed epithelial tissue. Next is connective tissue. Children, do you know why connective tissue is called by this name? Why the name connective tissue?
Ma'am, they connect tissues.
Yes, they connect different tissues and organs. They link and support different tissues and organs. That is why it got the name connective tissue. And there are different types of connective tissues. Can anybody say?
Ma'am, blood.
Blood, exactly. Blood is an example for a connective tissue. We have
bone,
blood, bone, cartilage, tendon, ligament, areolar and adipose tissue. In children, in connective tissue, the cells are present. The cells of the connective tissue are present in a matrix, a ground substance. So in between the space in between the cells are filled up with the substance. You call it as matrix. This matrix can be jelly-like. It can be fluid, as in the case of blood. It can be very rigid. So depending upon the matrix or depending upon the connective tissue, the matrices also will be different. And the matrix depends upon the function of the connective tissue. For example, blood, it's having a fluid matrix because blood has to flow to transport nutrients, for transporting gases, removing waste materials. So the blood has to flow. So it should have a fluid medium. So depending upon the function, the connective tissue has to perform. Accordingly, they have matrix. So we'll learn more about it. The cells of connective tissue, they are loosely spaced and they are present in an intercellular matrix. And I told you that connective tissue is called so because it will help in linking and supporting different tissues and organs. And the cells of connective tissue, they are loosely spaced, and in between the cells, there is a matrix. There is an intercellular matrix.
What's the meaning of matrix?
Matrix is a ground substance, like something that fills up the space in between the cells. So cytoplasm, we say jelly-like substance present in between or filling the space in between the nucleus and the plasma membrane. So this is a matrix, a ground substance, something which fills, a substance which is filling the space in between the cells. This matrix can be jelly-like. You know the consistency of a jelly. Jelly-like, it can be fluid, it can be very thick, it can be very stiff. So depending upon the function of the particular connective tissue, the matrix can be different. The nature of matrix can be different depending upon the function it has to perform. I told you about the example of blood. Blood is a fluid connective tissue because that fluid matrix, it is having a fluid matrix, because only then, if it is fluid only, it can flow from one part of the body to the other, helping in the transport of nutrients, gases, waste materials, etc. So depending upon the function, the connective tissue has to perform accordingly. They have matrix. It can be jelly-like, it can be fluid, it can be dense, it can be rigid. Okay. Example for different connective tissues: blood, bone, cartilage, ligament, tendon, areolar tissue, and adipose tissue. About each one, we'll be learning or we'll be discussing about each of these connective tissues. Each one we are going to learn. So the different connective tissues present in our body are blood, bone, cartilage, ligament, tendon, areolar tissue, adipose tissue. Adipose tissue, areolar tissue, tendon, ligament, cartilage, bones, blood. Okay. First, we are going to start with the fluid connective tissue, that is blood. Blood is a fluid connective tissue. There are 3 types of cells in blood. Anybody is remembering? Anybody?
White blood
White
cells,
blood cell.
red blood cells.
Blood platelets. Correct. White blood cells, red blood cells, and blood platelets. And children, what are the functions performed by these 3 types of cells? Red blood cell, what is its function?
They give red color to the blood.
What is giving red color? Which pigment?
Hemoglobin.
Hemoglobin. So they contain hemoglobin, the pigment hemoglobin, and it gives red color to the blood. Agreed. Then, what is the function of hemoglobin other than giving red color? Helps in transporting
Materials.
which
Blood.
material?
Oxygen.
Yes, it helps in transporting oxygen. Then, white blood cells, what function do they perform?
They are in
Yes,
Blood sugar level.
they act
no?
antibody.
They produce antibodies. Like they help in fighting our body against infection. You can call them as the soldiers of a body. They help in protecting our body from infection. Then platelets.
They when we have injuries and all, they used to
Jerry.
clot.
Exactly. Correct.
Heal.
They will help in clotting. Why clotting is needed, children? Why our blood should clot?
Because when we have injuries, flow blood.
When there is a damage, when our blood vessels are cut in an accident or when you get injured, you know that the blood vessels, when they are ruptured, the blood will start oozing out. But if there is heavy loss of blood from our body, that can affect it can affect us very badly. So it is very important that a clot is formed. Once a clot is formed, it will seal the blood vessel and no more blood will be lost from our body. So clotting is very important, and platelets are the cells which will help in clotting our blood. Okay.
Ma'am,
And yes,
why we use platelet?
why we use?
Yes,
Why
ma'am.
we use means why it is present in our
Ma'am,
body.
what is the use of platelet?
Who is asking?
Ma'am, Alvin.
Show your face, Alvin. I will explain. Okay, Alvin, platelets are needed for clotting of blood. So when there is an injury, when you get injured, see children, when you, suppose you are playing in the ground or you are taking part in an athletic meet, you fell down, Your leg slipped and you fell down and blood started flowing. Blood started oozing out from your body because of the injury. And will it keep on flowing like that, or it will stop after some time?
It will
Stop.
stop.
It will stop after some time. What is the reason why the blood flow is stopping after some time? Because of a clot formation. And this clot will block or seal the blood vessel so that no more blood will be oozing out from our body. And later it will get darkened. It will become dark maroonish color. Later it will be shed from the skin. It will shed out from your body. Once your wound is healed, it will get really, or it will get shed off from our body. Have you noticed it? It becomes very dark. Slowly it gets thickened, and finally, once your blood vessel is sealed, or once the injury is healed, this will go off from our body. This is like most of the children, knee, you will fall down and the knee region will be injured, and slowly you can find that some patches will appear over there. Those are actually clots which will prevent further blood loss from our body. So platelets are very important in forming a clot to seal the blood vessel to prevent further blood loss from our body. Yes? Yes.
Ma'am, if there's an injury on a dead organism, will there be any action by the platelets?
No, because none of the body functions are working properly. Once a person is dead, all the see, blood and all will get, the texture itself will change. Once that warmth won't be there, everything will change. The entire we say rigor mortis. Once a person has died, his body becomes stiff. So many changes are taking place in our body. So all those functions which are taking place in a normal healthy person will not be taking place in a dead person, because there the body function, metabolic activities, everything has stopped. Okay, all the functions will come to an end. All the metabolic activities will come to an end. The warmth of the blood also, because body temperature, everything will go down. The body as such will get cool. Like if you touch a person who has died, not immediately after death, after a few hours, his body will be ice cold. All the body functions, all the metabolic functions will come to an end. Okay. Lakshmi, is that fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, the plasma contains, you know that in blood, there is a fluid matrix. You call it as plasma. Plasma is a fluid matrix, and scattered in this fluid matrix, there are different types of cells. 3 types mainly. We already discussed about it. White blood cells, red blood cells, and blood platelets. These are the 3 types of cells present in plasma. Scattered in the plasma, functions of these 3 we already discussed. And now coming to the functions. The function of blood is to transport gases, digested nutrients, hormones, waste materials, etc. to different parts of the body. So it is very important that the blood is having a fluid matrix. Only if it is having a fluid nature, it can move from one place to another for helping in transportation. And the plasma consists of proteins, hormones, and salts. Plasma is made up of proteins, salts, and hormones. Once again, we learned about the fluid connective tissue. The fluid connective tissue, that is blood, and in the fluid matrix of blood, that is plasma, 3 types of cells are present: RBC, WBC, blood platelets. RBC contains the pigment hemoglobin, which imparts red color to the blood. It also helps in transporting oxygen. WBC, white blood cells, fight against infections. Platelets help in the clotting of blood. Then plasma contains proteins, salts, and hormones. And blood will help in transporting gases, digested food, hormones, and waste materials to different parts of our body. Okay?
1 minute.
So we are not going to learn about the rest of the connective tissues today. As I told you in the beginning, we'll have a revision of plant tissues. Can I stop sharing, children? Or you want to write?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Abhiram?
Yes, ma'am.
Abhiram, which are the 3 types of cells present in blood? Abhiram, name those cells.
Red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets.
Very good. Which among these cells, these 3 cells, will help in the clotting of blood, Tom?
And platelets.
Okay, good. And what decides the nature of matrix in a connective tissue, Anjana? What decides the nature of matrix? I told it can be fluid like, jelly like, rigid, then dense. What decides the matrix? Let it be wrong, you say.
The nature of the matrix differs according to
Ah,
the function of a
yes, yes, correct. It depends on the function of the connective tissue. Okay, children. So let's proceed to the revision of the chapter tissues or the plant tissues. I'll be asking a few questions. Already you had written MCQ test on it. So all are ready, no? Those who know the answer can raise your hands. Okay. Which tissue provides flexibility to the plant parts? Yes, Adigesh.
Colon-chyma.
Colon-chyma. In which tissue the corners of the cell walls, only the corners are thickened? Yes, Lynette.
Collenchyma.
Colon-chyma. And which of the simple permanent tissues are made up of living cells? Which all? Yes, Abhiram.
Paramecium and the colonyma.
Paramecium.
Parenchyma.
Okay. Paramecium is a protozoan, dear. Parenchyma. Anyway, good for your initiative. Parenchyma and collenchyma. And which simple permanent tissue provides mechanical support or stiffness to the plant parts? Hira?
Ma'am, collenchyma.
Stiffness found in coconut husk.
Ma'am.
Jairus?
Sclerenchyma.
Sclerenchyma. Be careful about the spelling. And children, what do you call parenchyma cells with chlorophyll in it? Anandida?
Chlorenchyma.
Chlorenchyma. If parenchyma is having air spaces inside, then what do you call it, Advait?
Parenchyma.
Aerenchyma. Aerenchyma is the parenchyma with air spaces, and chlorenchyma is the parenchyma with chloroplast or chlorophyll in it. Then we learned about complex tissue. What is the main difference between simple tissues and complex tissues? What is the difference between simple permanent tissues and complex? Lakshmi Nanda, turn the video on. Ken, Benedict, Anjana, Pooja. Yes.
My video is on, right?
Okay, no problem. I'm not able to see you, but you say the answer.
Ma'am, there's more layers.
No. Simple and complex.
Ma'am,
Yes, wait,
Ma'am.
wait. Those who did not get a chance. Pooja, can you say?
Simple tissue is made up of only one type of cell, whereas complex tissues are made up of many types of cells.
Very good. So that is the difference. Two complex tissues. Nikhila, name two complex plant tissues.
Xylem and phloem.
Xylem and phloem. Which among these two will transport food?
Ma'am.
Lakshmi CV. Which will transport food? For that you have to think so much. I told you to remember that O there in food and the tissue, the name of the tissue.
Phloem.
Phloem. Phloem transports food. And one difference between, other than the material that they transport, another difference between xylem and phloem. Anandana?
And xylem transports things in just one day,
Correct. And phloem?
in different directions.
So in phloem, the transport is multidirectional. In xylem, it is unidirectional. And children, what do you call the actively dividing tissues present in plants? Wait. Advait Sinoop? Nivedya? Nivedya? Tamanna? Fadil? Amin Shafiq?
Ma'am, can I see the answer?
Yes, say.
Meristematic tissue.
Meristematic tissues. Okay. Advait Sinoop, every day the same problem, no child. Is there any one day when your connectivity is better? One excuse or the other, you always say. Anyway, I'll call your parent and find out what is the actual reason. Every day, I'm not seeing you. Okay. What I was saying, meristematic tissues. And we learned the different properties of meristematic tissues. Quickly, you can say one by one. Yes, 1 point, Lynette.
Ma'am, they are actively dividing.
That point we said. Some other point.
It has dense cytoplasm.
Then cytoplasm, another point.
They have thin cellulose.
And they
Thin
lack,
cellulose cell wall. Then
and they
Prominent.
lack
black vacuoles. Then
They have a prominent nuclei.
very good, prominent nuclei. Okay. Then how can you compare the cell wall of parenchyma and sclerenchyma? What is the difference between? Yes, not Lynette always, someone else. Nivedya, how can you distinguish?
Ma'am, parenchyma cell wall is thick.
Parenchyma cell wall is thick.
No, ma'am, thin.
Thin.
And
Then?
sclerenchyma is highly thickened.
Okay. Which substance will make it thick? Name the substance that make the cell wall of sclerenchyma very thick. You can say
Ma'am,
lignin. Lignin. Okay, good. Then, be prepared for the test. You have test on Friday, chapter 5, cell. Okay. See you next class.